call the meeting to order. Um, Welcome everybody to the October 2023 Tree and Stormwater Advisory Board. Do a mini roll call to see who's here. So we got Mike here, we got Kevin, myself, Abdul Rahman, and from the city side we have Guy, Brian, and Mike too. So with that, we'll take a motion to approve the July 2023 minutes.
A motion.
And a second.
I will second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. And next item will be public comments. Have you had any emails or nobody in the audience today?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet the last few months. Haven't had a lot of questions about ash trees or anything like that. So I think it fielded most of those in the springtime. So
Want to take a second to say we had a young resident visit us. Easton was here a few minutes ago, and he had to leave early, but he gave me permission to tell North Liberty that we want more trees in the city. So Easton says more trees in the city.
Thank you. You'll be your best friend now.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the next item, tree reports.
all right, I know this one gets redundant. It's on the agenda quite often. It's the Mid-American Trees Please grant. So we haven't planned those yet, just because of the nursery, working with them. It's been so dry. He's been supplementing watering for the last 2 weeks, and we're supposed to get them coming up this next Thursday. So we're going to probably spend this next Thursday and Friday probably planting those trees up at the rec center. Once that is done, I'll be able to do my final status report and send that off to Mid-America, which is due October 31st. And then that means that I can reapply for the grant again for 2024.
Yep.
So that's where we're at with that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get our trees next week and we can get them in the ground.
Okay. All right.
And are those mostly ash trees they're replacing then?
Maybe one or I don't
A couple. Most of them are going towards the rec center. We had some island trees that we had lost a couple years back. So
those would be crab apples going back.
crab apples, a couple oaks and stuff around the same area, around the pool area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna let Brian take the tree and landscape summer maintenance because that's his wheelhouse.
All right.
Yeah, tree and landscaping maintenance. This year we can continue cleaning of the trees, all the dead stuff out of the trees. Right now, until spring is like your best time to start trimming up your trees. Raising limbs for mowing height is great this time. Anything crossing, rubbing limbs, you can go ahead and pick a winner, essentially. General shaping of the tree. So what that means is, if you want your tree to look like a lollipop, the general shape, you can go ahead and do that. And also major limbs can be removed at this time of the year, things that are like 4 inches, like your big limbs that you don't want to do in the summer because it really stresses your plants out. Also on a side note, if you have any newly planted trees, it's a good idea to give them one last shot of water before winter, give them that last little boost, even though they should be going dormant. The next one is got a little report on silk button spangle gull. It's kind of a fun word. And I brought fun little samples. You can go ahead and look at those. First notice, you can take them out. Just don't eat them. You'll be fine. First noticed them at the rec center. Then I noticed them at Centennial and Freedom. They're caused by a small wasp. What it's doing is it's planting an egg on the underside of the leaf structure. And it secretes a chemical that causes a formation around those eggs, protecting it. The treatment for it, they raking, mulching your leaf litter because those overwinter on that leaf structure, so they'll be on the ground. So you could collect them, burn them if you wanted, mulch them up with your mower. That'll work too. It just helps control the egg population. You can also hang a bird feeder in an oak tree that has those. Um, Birds are natural predators to the wasp, and then obviously keep healthy growth of the tree, watering and stuff. We had a really tough year. These came off of swamp white oaks, which do like a lot of water. And it affects anything from super small trees to your mature 20, 30-year-old trees. It does not care. Minor infestations like this are usually pretty harmless. Heavy infestations can be problematic in the fact that the wasp itself doesn't cause the damage and kill the tree, but it can just stress the tree out to the point where other things can attack, and then it's trying to fight off too many things at once, essentially. Yeah, and that's best is to just kind of keep tabs on it year after year. Usually, one year will be worse than the other, but if you notice a growth over the years, then you might want to do other kind of treatments. But as far as chemical treatments, there isn't really much out there for it. It's just kind of general maintenance.
So, I mean, some of these leaves look pretty stressed out. Is it
Yeah.
just one wasp that would attack a tree, or you have a colony of them?
You have a colony, and one wasp can lay hundreds of eggs at a single time. So it doesn't take too many to get quite the population up. So.
Do they have a preferred tree to go after, or
They like the swamp white oaks. That's what I've been seeing them throughout the city. Again, our infestations are pretty small. We do a lot of mowing or underneath the trees, all the leaf litter, we mulch them up. That kind of helps destroy the egg colonies. So. And then next item is tree removal progress. Had no additional ash trees removed. Fantastic. We did remove a very large old box elder tree at Beaver. That was a fun time in the lift. We removed it because it was kind of leaning at a 45-degree angle, and it was hanging over residents' kind of fence and their kind of pool.
Sure.
It had a split trunk, and what I mean by that is it had two main trunks coming up. And as the tree grows, it kind of pushes on itself, and it keeps separating, and then you're eventually going to fail on that trunk. We also, this year, fire station, we had a hackberry in the parking lot that we ended up trimming up. Kind of same situation. We had some large limbs hanging over the building that we didn't want to fall down in an ice storm, this winter. It did have a crack on it, but we're monitoring that. It's starting to heal over. We did take a lot of the weight off the tree, and what that means is you kind of remove majority of the crown. It's just literally so it has less to support. And yeah, we'll just keep monitoring the healing progress on that. So maybe in the future we might have to take it down, but we definitely gained some years on that. So.
We thought we'd get a few more years benefit out of it before we have to take it down. It's the tree just east of the flagpole at the fire station.
Got it. Okay.
Fairly large mature tree.
All right. And since we talked about trimming, so the way residents dispose of those tree limbs is to cut them. I think that's probably Johnson County Refuge. You can get them information on how to dispose of your tree limbs and stuff. But the general consensus is cut it in chunks and lay them right by your garbage can and contact them for pickup. I do have a question on the ash borer. I think a few meetings back, you talked about trying to rehabilitate a couple of trees by not taking them down and let them try to regrow.
That was a conversation we had. I mean, there's been talks. I have a DNR friend, Jason Dykstra. He's also very good with trees as well. We had a discussion on, if the main tree dies and if you just cut it off, you got those little sprigs that come out. It's like, well, if you left one of those, once the beetle kind of runs through, would you have a great tree again? So it's been kind of an ongoing debate. Okay. There's not much factual stuff behind it.
Right.
But
we're not out anything.
Okay, yeah, right. You're not out anything. Exactly. Sure. So what's the harm? Right. Okay. Yeah, so that'd be interesting thing to see in the future. So.
Anybody else have any comments or questions for Brian?
I think under other tree topics, there was something else we brought up last time was I had noticed that I believe it was iron chlorosis
Mhm.
of the pin oaks, and you guys had mentioned that they're you guys have successfully treated
Mhm.
Yes.
things or oak trees in this.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Do you have one that's
I don't, but there's one in kind of in our neighborhood
Yeah.
that kind of seems that way. It's difficult to tell, I think, in the drought too.
Right.
What's chlorosis and what's not. But if you just kind of want to speak to that, what you would see with the chlorosis and what kind of treatment you might do.
Yeah, with iron chlorosis, it looks like a general yellowing of the leaf, but the thing that's really characteristic about it is the veins of the leaf stay green. So that's how you know you have chlorosis. So I guess hard to see on those, but yeah, that's the main thing. Treatment, you can do soil applications of an iron-based product.
work as well?
They don't work as well. A lot of that nutrients gets tied up in the soil. We've done Mage tree injections, which work really, really well.
Like a one-shot deal,
Yeah, it's
and
one shot.
it's done. It's
And the way those work, you drill a hole, literally a hole into the side of the tree. You get it right underneath the bark. It's called the cambium layer.
about that quarter-inch
Yeah.
deep at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So put it in there. You have this capsule. You pressurize, and then it just puts the product directly into the tree, so you know where it's going. You know, you're not losing it through the soil profile.
The-
So,
Where the nutrients in a tree goes up in is right beneath the bark in the cambium area. So that's where all the food nutrition for a tree.
all water, nutrition.
Yep.
Common conception is that it goes through the center, but it doesn't. It's right underneath that bark.
That's considered hardwood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do the tree spikes do anything to see how some of those where you plant them at the, I guess the root line?
Yeah, the drip line around the crown of that tree. So
Mhm.
yeah, those can help. More the better. I've done a little bit of those. I've had mixed results. They work better on smaller trees. Once you get to the larger trees, it's hard to hit that root zone because it goes out so far.
I would suggest if you do have a nice tree that needs it, I would just call it an arborist. They'd be able to inject it, and it's not like a year after year.
Right.
But we have, like Quail Ridge Park, for example, we had a bunch of pin oaks. So pin oaks are the worst.
Mhm.
That were all getting it, and we injected one time,
Yep.
and that was probably 15 or so
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh, really?
And they're beautiful trees. One shot with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a micronutrient, but
Yeah.
it needs it.
Yeah, it just seems like I have noticed a lot more of the pin oaks around that,
Mhm.
that have that. Not necessarily, kind of in Coralville and everything.
Right.
Not your guys' work, but around.
Yep.
So
But no, it works very, very well. But I believe more in the injection than I would the soil
Mhm.
to get it up.
a little more
Yeah.
precise and get that. Okay. And then one other thing I was thinking of, you mentioned the new plantings, trying to get them some extra water, right before. Probably not now, but in the spring. What do you normally look for as far as this tree's not going to make it versus let's let it see how it does, especially after a year like this? If the center is kind of dead,
Mhm.
what types of things would you look for?
Couple things, if it buds back out and it has soft, pliable buds, you're usually going to be okay in the spring before it leaves out. Another good indicator is on your small trees. Sometimes if you scratch the bark just a little bit, they usually have pretty thin bark, but if it's bright green underneath, you're usually good to go. If it's brown or any other color, that branch is usually dead. So you can kind of do small little marks around on suspect branching. So that'd be a good indicator as well.
Okay.
But it is very important to water those trees before winter.
Yeah, for sure.
It helps them overwinter better. The freeze thaw, for some reason, that the water is a good thing to do.
Same
Very,
with
very important. Evergreens are the biggest one.
Okay, you got it. Yeah, evergreens because they're green
Transpire
all
all winter long.
Mhm.
Is there an age of a tree, how long you want water for? Like up to a 2-year-old tree or a 3-year-old tree? Or is it mostly just a,
It's your ones you're trying to establish. I'd say up to within five,
within five. Like
maybe longer,
this
a little.
year, we do the bigger ball and burlap, so a little more established. So I did within the past 3 years, all of our new plantings, I was watering pretty regularly. That 4 to 5 is when you can kind of taper off when they get more established, like Guy was saying. So
Very good. Thank you.
Next item, we'll move over to stormwater report. Mike, take it away.
All right. Well, I don't have too much. It is the great time of year. The annual report for the city is due the end of this month. So that'll be majority of my time for the rest of the month working on that. Same thing every year, pretty much. We just update data in there that we collect over the year. So I put all that in there. It's pretty exciting work. We had last week, we had our third meeting for the Middle Iowa Watershed Authority. Newly formed. The city of North Liberty will be representing that as the chairperson for the first 2-year term. That will be myself doing that. And then it's just still getting off the ground. So we're working through some DNR funding and getting all that together. And we'll meet quarterly on that as well up in Tama. Other than that, the next thing, we have the iStorm conference, November 1st and 2nd down at the Hyatt Regency. It should be pretty fun, 2 days. A lot of good speakers are coming in, some from the University of Iowa, talking about, I think they're going to get into a lot of medication in the water and how we can treat that in the stormwater, wastewater, everything.
I mean, like prescription
Yeah, yep.
prescription
drugs
in the water.
and, all that goes through the toilets one way or the other. And then that needs to get treated before it's released into the local streams. And some of those are very difficult to treat if they can be at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing wastewater does have. A big thing they deal with is prescription medication and getting that out of the water. And we've got a couple university doctors who are going to talk a lot about that. And then just other experts in the field talking about what they do and new stuff in the stormwater world. The first day, there'll be the end of the day, we'll have a walking tour around the Iowa River Landing area. We'll talk about, there's a lot of stormwater practices down there. We'll walk around, go on top of the arena. There's a green roof up there we'll talk about, and then some other stuff in the area. And then we meet up at the brewery down there at the end of that for kind of a meet and greet, food, drinks, stuff like that. And that's pretty much about all I've got going on in my world.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting that medication flushed down the toilet would affect not just your streams, but also your vegetation out there. So good rule of thumb, if you don't need it, take it back to the pharmacy, or I think the police station does a recycling, or the fire department also. They have like a medication take back program that they usually do every once in a while. So
Are they also talking about prescription medicine that goes through a person?
Yep.
yeah, yep.
Yep. So
Right.
it's there.
Can't do anything against that.
That was
Nothing
it.
to do
Ends,
about that, so.
ends up in the toilet one way
One
or
way or the
another.
other.
Right,
Exactly.
right, okay.
Yep.
Got it. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, how is it coming for like the soil quality restoration, all of that? Are you still having funding available for that, or?
Yep. I know they just went through this week and last week, and they just got a ton of them done. I still have, I think, about $7,000 for spring applications. Some of those, we'll see if any of those do get pushed back to spring, which will open up more funding essentially. So I'm pretty sure I'll run out of money again this year like last year, and it seems to be pretty popular.
Good problem to have, huh?
Yeah, not a bad problem at all.
I suppose it was a tricky year to get those things done
Yeah.
with drought. trying
Yeah,
to
and this
aerate.
weather, it really cooled off pretty quick, and it's pretty specific when those guys get out there. So when they do, I think they just send everyone and get them done throughout the couple weeks.
Yeah, I just got mine done yesterday.
All right.
They sent an email updating which neighborhood they were visiting. So it definitely looks like they did quite a bit of work. It's all brown and dark, and my kids were asking what happened to the lawn.
What did you do, Dad?
Yeah, they trying to help your lawn grow. So, but yeah, I think it's a program worth taking advantage of if you have if you're struggling with your lawn. So yeah, go to the city's website, look for SQR, and that should point you to the application process and get your name on the list. So cool. Any other questions for Mike?
What other kind of projects did you have other than the soil restoration this
That's
year?
this year. That's all I've had so far.
Okay.
I'm talking with a gentleman with some native plantings and possibly a rain garden in the future, but it's generally always the SQR. I don't. This year I haven't had any rain barrels. I'll usually get a couple of those in there, but that's about it. I've only had one rain garden since I've been here, so 6 years. Um,
And how does the rain barrel work for you? Do you just buy it and get a receipt for it, or do you buy it through the city or anything like
now
that?
you go to Menards or Lowe's, or people will get them from Amazon.
Mhm.
Either way, and
The-
then just show me the receipt, and I'll
The-
reimburse for that also.
The kickoff of that, we did have a bunch of rain barrels
Mm-hmm.
that we gave out.
Yep, that was before me.
Yeah, I think I got one of those rain barrels. That's why I asked. I didn't know what
Yeah.
the process was anymore. But.
So even though there are no specific programs for water retention, if a resident has an idea of water retention, they can get a hold of you and talk to you about it, and you can kind of figure out if there's any help available for the way they're trying to do the water retention. Is that right?
Yeah, we don't have a specific list.
Okay.
So we list some items on the website, your most common ones. If someone comes with an idea that is gonna improve on the runoff on their property, we can talk through that. And
Cool.
some things may need a little additional work. Some, if it's really involved, I may require them have a professional design it.
Sure.
If we're going to talk about engineered soils and stuff like that, we'll really need to get that checked out, and also to make sure that their property would even work in some instances. If you make a rain garden in your yard and it's just compacted clay, a lot of times all you're doing is going to build a bathtub in there, and that water's not going to go away.
Right.
So we'll do tests on the soil to make sure that it's actually going to infiltrate into the ground. So
I've also seen parking lots that are permeable parking lot. Does that apply to new developments? Do you have developers talk to you about having those kind of driveways for their?
no, they don't. We've never gotten into that in this program
Okay.
for that, but there has been before me. There was a house in Cedar Springs that has that as a back patio.
Oh.
So that would be something that I would also reimburse
Okay.
on a homeowner scale.
Nice.
Yeah, the new parking lot at Penn Meadows, the new addition, has permeable paver bays
Okay.
built into it. So
Cool. So yeah. So if
helps on the
you
runoff.
have ideas to help with the runoff, get a hold of Mike and he'll be able to.
Yeah,
help you.
it's amazing what every little bit
Yeah.
can help. Definitely can help.
Yeah, and we're doing a good job with maintaining it. Centennial Park this year, we completely vacuumed that and
Yeah, I
got new
forgot to
chip
mention
put in
that.
that. So that's all refurbished back like new.
Mhm.
And we'll do that. Was that 5 years that
Yeah,
we let
about
that
5
go?
years. That's about the right time, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. However, if we get the event center out there built, more traffic in the wintertime and stuff, we may have to do it more often.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
You vacuum the pavers, or is that what
Yeah, so I take the street sweeper that goes around every year, and I'll just make a bunch of circles. I'll turn that puppy on high and
It will suck the gravel right out of the cracks.
suck
Yep.
it up, and then
Yeah.
it was, in some of those places, it had the chip sucked out almost to the bottom of the bricks. So
Yeah.
we did that, and I think it was the very next day that they came in and spread new chip
hired
and filled all the
Then
cracks
someone to
in.
come in.
Okay, move on to the next item, old business. Wish Doris was here. She will talk about the
Park in Dubuque?
the 40 acre
Yeah, have to table that till next meeting.
next meeting. Yep, we'll talk about that. Anything new business? No. All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 10th, 2024 at 7 p.m. City Chamber. Do you know when the new chambers are, the new city hall?
Pretty close. If everything's on track, April may be the time when they're moving in.
Oh, nice.
So,
Might have a meeting,
We-
break it in.
I could only hope, but I wouldn't count on it.
All right.
Yes.
So, and with that, I'll move to the last item, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
My second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for joining in.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.